Well, the adoption journey begins at birth with something called a primal wound. This creates just one of many challenges for children who are adopted and for parents who long to give them a loving family.
Robin Hitt is an accredited life and business coach and a retired nurse. She and her husband John were thrilled to adopt 2 daughters in the 90s. All went well early on, but some challenges came in time. As Robin read more about adopted children, she found that most of them see life through a lens of rejection. Today, Robin teaches others about adoption issues, and she wrote the book she wishes she'd had years ago, Open-Eyed Adoption.
All right, well, please welcome to the 700 Club, Robin Hitt. Robin, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And you came all the way from Colorado, and you told me you were hit with the humidity here in Virginia Beach.
All true.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you again for being with us. I want to talk about your personal adoption story. When did you and your husband decide adoption was the path for you guys to become parents?
Yes, I married my childhood sweetheart, thought we would just start having babies. We waited the obligatory 4 years. so it didn't happen, and we had infertility treatments and just finally came to the option of adoption because we wanted to be parents more than I wanted to carry a child. So.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And wasn't there was a trip that you went on that really changed your mind and your perspective about adoption? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes. I was on a mission trip as an RN. I was on a surgical floating ship, and we were in Bajarona, Dominican Republic. And I was really grappling with, should we adopt? I want a family so badly. And I had all these little hang-ups, like, could I really love someone else's child and all that, which seems silly to me now. Yeah. There was a moment in time where I held this little brown boy with a nasogastric tube hanging from his mouth, or his nose, and he just gave me the biggest white tooth smile I couldn't believe it. And I thought, in a heartbeat, I could take you home and love you till the day I die.
Wow. So that's what kind of changed your perspective.
That was the moment, yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, you ended up adopting 2 beautiful young girls. Talk about that experience and what the early years were like.
For us, it was so easy to adopt. We didn't have the long waits that many people do, and they were domestic infant adoptions in the States, and they were 3 years apart. And so the early years were just glorious. I homeschooled to 8th grade, and we traveled a ton. We read a lot and just had one big adventure. I loved it.
I love that. I love that. Well, you've said that, the dynamics kind of started to change in their teenage years.
Yes.
What was happening?
Yes, teenage. That was what was happening.
For all of us.
I think, just the normal angsty stuff happened, and I just sort of passed it off as normal because I hadn't parented before, and I certainly wasn't the model child in teenagehood, and neither was my husband. So we weathered that. They went to the college of their choice, different states, and really wasn't until after they got out of college that there was some drag. And in a way, they seemed to be looking to us to kind of map out their lives, and we weren't prepared for that. We thought, you would figure that out, Yeah. So I started wondering for the first time, maybe there's something about adoption that I missed. And I started reading voraciously and interviewing people kind of on the side.
Wow.
Hey, what's your experience? And I just learned so much. In the beginning, we took them home, loved them, and said, we're going to be better parents than our own parents. We're going to do this thing awesome. We're loving them. And, that old saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan.
Yes.
So, I just started learning so much about adoption and what that means, what's going on inside the adopted soul.
Yeah, well, you often say that you wish you had had this book that you wrote during those early years and when you were kind of questioning things. Right. What do you now know that you wish you had known when things were just kind of rocky?
I wish that I would have asked more questions instead of doing so much telling.
Okay.
I wish that I would have known the invisible dynamic that adoptees feel. There was no difference for us at all. And so I just didn't know that there was anything different going on in their soul. What I've learned is a thing called the primal wound. It's the switcheroo. It's a baby grows inside a womb for 9 months. They're familiar with the taste, dislikes, likes, smell, everything about this person, and it's familiar to them. And then when they're born, they're looking for the owner of that womb. And in comes the adopted parent and saying, I love you, we're a family, you know, it's gonna be great. And inside the child, there's this, I know something happened before you, and you're not it. So that sets up a mistrust in the adoptee for the person telling them, I'm your mom, I'm your mom. Which I am their mom, but they don't have language to articulate what they're feeling. And so they just sort of have this vague mistrust of what's going on and like, who are you? Our job as adoptive parents, I've learned, is to build trust and form attachment.
I love that. Well, a lot of adoptive children, because of that primal wound, view life through a lens of rejection and something called like an orphan spirit.
So true.
What would you say to adoptive parents who are experiencing that with their children who are adopted? How do they overcome that or help their children overcome that?
Yeah, well, it's building trust, for one thing. I did not use sarcasm with our kids. I just felt like, I think it was the Holy Spirit that told me, don't do that, you know. And I was always very truthful, I tried to be, you know, do what I say and say what I do and all that. I think mainly it's just over and over and over. You are building trust through experience. Discipline is different, for one thing. And I think, I wish I'd have known this, you know, if you spank an adoptee or, you know, send them to their room, they don't look at it like biological kids, like, oh, I don't like being corrected, but I take it, I get it. You know, I need correction. With an adoptee, they think, you're banishing me, we're severing relationship, I knew it, I'm no good. I mean, they just jump to that. And the adoptive parent's like, what? You know, oh no, come on back. So I would say hold them close during a time of discipline and correction. It's never punishment, because there's shame involved with punishment. And just want to guard against that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Robin, I wish we had more time. I just want to say thank you so much for this book. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of parents who have chosen the route of adoption. And thank you for just being open and transparent and having that willing heart to help others.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, Robin's book is called Open-Eyed Adoption, and it's available nationwide. Highly encourage you guys to get a copy.